Alrighty, what's happening, guys? So as promised, today I will be providing you with some further learning on abstract versus concrete, as well as common versus collective nouns. I'm going to take my face off of here in just a second so that you just have the screen to look at, but I thought I'd say hello so that you can physically see me before I start this little lesson review over nouns. So those are the two sections that you seemed most concerned with, interested in learning more about. So today we will go over them. Okay, I wish you goodbye until the end of the video because I'm going to hide myself. See you later. Okay, let's take a little look-see at the presentation. Okay, so nouns, a review. Alrighty, so let's take a look at abstract versus concrete first. So what's the difference? A concrete noun takes up space. It's physically there. That's one way that you know it's concrete. If you're talking about the glasses that are on your face or the glass that is in front of you at the table, that is physically there. That is something that I could feel, which of course is one of the five senses. Now, if the noun engages one of the other four senses, whether that be smell, taste, sight, or hearing, that would also mean that it is a concrete noun. So the first question that I would always ask myself is it physically there? If the answer is yes, it's definitely concrete. If it's not physically there, the second question you would ask yourself is, does it engage one of the senses? If the answer is yes, then it is concrete. However, if you answer no to both of those questions, then that would mean that it is an abstract noun. Now, an abstract noun, that's an idea, a quality, or a characteristic. If you can ask yourself both those questions, is the noun physically present, and can you engage it with your senses, and you say no to both, then that would mean it is an abstract noun. So let's take a couple look at it, like a couple examples to look at here. So the first one, your sentence is, I was not impressed by the singing during the student choir concert. Now in this sentence, the word singing is what's underlined. Is it abstract or is it concrete? Well, let's take a look at those two questions that I told you to ask yourself. Does singing take up physical space? Well, no, I can't reach out and physically touch singing. I can't really touch sound. But if I ask myself the second question, does singing engage the senses? Of course, the answer is yes. I can hear singing, which means that it is engaging one of those five senses, in this case, hearing. I answered yes to one of my two questions, which means that singing is concrete. A second example, and this is one of the sentences that you had on your assignment last week. Olaf had not yet reached the peak of his ability. Now, of course, the word peak is what is underlined in this sentence, and we are asking ourselves, is peak abstract or concrete? Now, this was the question that the largest majority of you missed on the assignment, and I think I understand why. So let's look through our two questions that we should always ask ourselves about abstract versus concrete nouns. Does peak take up physical space? In this sense, no. Now I can see where we could have possibly gone wrong here. If I'm talking about the peak of a mountain, that is something that takes up physical space. But the mountain itself, as a noun, of course, is concrete. I can touch a mountain. However, the fact that ability is not something that I can touch, it is an idea, a concept, that means the peak of an ability is not taking up physical space. So, of course, in this form, peak does not take up physical space. The second question, does peak engage the senses? Now, of course, if I'm talking about peak as I'm peeking at something in terms of a verb, that would be looking, right? That would engage a sense. But this is not the correct form of peak, right? This is talking about the peak of an ability, the top of an ability. So no, it does not engage the senses. So I answered no to both of my questions, which of course means that peak in this sentence is abstract. All right, let's try one on our own. So the sentence is, throughout the entire kingdom, none were as brave as Sir Lancelot, the famous knight. In this sentence, is the word kingdom abstract or concrete? So take the time to ask yourself those two questions. Does kingdom take up physical space? Can I touch it? Is it physically there? And then you'd ask yourself the second question. Does kingdom engage the senses? If I said that it didn't engage touch, the fact that it's physically there, can I hear it? Can I smell it? Could I taste it? Does it engage one of those senses? Okay, so you look at those two questions. Did you answer yes to either one? If you answered yes to either one, then of course you would put kingdom is concrete. If you answered no to both questions, then you would put kingdom is abstract. Let's see how you did. So of course in this sentence we're talking about a kingdom, right? Does it take up physical space? Well, yes, it does. So I can walk through a kingdom, right? I can see a king's castle. I can see the people that he rules over. I can walk through the village. I can walk through the countrysides of a kingdom. So yes, it takes up physical space. Yes, it's there. Now in this sense, I put no for engage the senses, because really once you've answered the first question yes, you can stop there. You know it's going to be concrete. But I mean, I guess technically you could smell or taste a kingdom, but the best sense is that it's physically there. But yes, kingdom is definitely, in this sense, a concrete noun. It is there. It's something that I can see and I can touch. So you'll see a few review questions over abstract versus concrete nouns on your grammar assignment today. If you have any questions about this, you can of course revisit this video. I will also post the slideshow up on modules for you to open and take a look at. But if you need further assistance on this or you're still confused, please feel free to email me and I will get back with you as quickly as I can. On to the next thing. So common versus collective was the other section that people had questions about. So let's take a look at them. So a common noun, they name a person, place, or thing without using its proper title. So for an example, if I use the word Indianapolis, that would be a proper noun. Whereas if I just said major city, that is common. I wouldn't capitalize major city. If you used my proper name, Mr. McLaughlin or Mr. Mack, that would be a proper noun. Whereas referring to me as a teacher or your teacher would be common. You wouldn't capitalize teacher. Now, a collective noun most of the time is a common noun. The only difference is that it's referring to a group of people as a whole. So, if you're talking about The school board. The school board or the board has many people on it. That board would be a collective noun. So in this example, a committee is made up of many individuals, which makes it a collective. So let's take a look at an example. Now, this is one of the questions that you had last week on your assignment that several people struggled with. So the sentence was, even terrorism has plagued the games, as in the murder of a group of Israelis in 1972. Now, there was a proper, a common, and a collective noun in this sentence. Now, my suggestion to you would be, the first thing, if there's a proper noun in a sentence, eliminate the proper noun first, because there's one very clear telling characteristic of a proper noun, and that is that it's capitalized. So what of those three words between terrorism, group, and Israelis is capitalized? Well, of course, we see that Israelis is capitalized, which means that's my proper noun. I've eliminated that one. Now I know all I have left is terrorism and group. So now we have to consider which one of these is a collective. Which one of those words constitutes a group of people? So even terrorism has plagued the games. Well, in this sense, terrorism is an act. So that's not constituting a group of people. So the fact that it is an act would mean that it's simply a common noun. So by process of elimination, that would mean our collective noun is group. In this sense, group is speaking about a group of Israelis. All of the Israelis together make the group, which means that group is collective in this sentence. Okay, let's take a look at another one and see how you do on this. So this is another one you had on your assignment last week that I wanted to take a look at. The sentence is, the games were revived to salute the collective athletic talents of the family of nations. There are two common and one collective nouns in this sentence. And the three words that you are looking at are talents, family, and nations. So since there's only one collective noun, let's think about which one of the three constitutes a group of people. Go ahead and jot down a couple notes. I'll give you a couple seconds here to make up your mind, to try to figure out which one's which, and then we will go over it together. Okay, let's see how you did. So if I'm looking at those three words, talents, family, and nations, I look at talents first. Is talents a group of people? No. In this case, that's speaking of an act. So the fact that it is an act, athletic talent, that means that it's not a group, which means that that is one of the two common nouns in this sentence. But then I look at the phrase family of nations, and I have to figure out which one of those is the collective and which one is the common. Well, in this case, family is the collective noun because it's talking about the family of nations. So the family together makes up this group, whereas the nations could each be listed individually. So because the family is talking about all of them together, it's the collective. Whereas the nations, since they could all be referenced individually, is the common. Okay. You will see on your assignment today a few questions about common versus collective nouns. If you have any questions about them, you can of course hop onto this video, watch it again. I will post this up once again on your modules on Canvas to look at. But as always, if you have any questions, please send me an email and I would be more than happy to help you. Lastly, let's look at a preview of what you're about to learn today. You've got a little bit of reading to go along with the assignment to help you along in your journey here. But we're going to learn about pronouns. So a pronoun takes the place of a noun, a group of words acting as a noun, or another pronoun. We call the word or group of words that a pronoun refers to its antecedent. So today, you will discover the differences between personal versus possessive pronouns, reflexive versus intensive pronouns, interrogative versus relative pronouns, and demonstrative versus indefinite pronouns. Please follow the instruction provided on the self-grading assignment and show me what you know. And then just as last week on your Flipgrid assignment, you will provide feedback on what you liked the most and what you feel like you could use some more practice on as I build a lesson for next week to telecast to you just like I've done this one today. Okay, see if I can bring myself back here for just a second. Oh, there I am. Okay, guys, thanks so much for tuning in and listening, learning a little bit further about this. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I'd be more than happy to help you. Email, but stay on top of stuff. We're into week 3. We're going to get through this together, guys. I promise you. I'm here for you. Just let me know. Miss you. See ya.